I'm Ben Simon, music director of the San Francisco Chamber Orchestra, and I'd like to welcome you to the Simon Says Show. Today, we'll be listening to something we don't hear very often: silence. The great French Romantic composer Claude Debussy wrote, "The music is not in the notes, but in the spaces between them." And we're about to hear some musical spaces composed by Beethoven and Samuel Barber. But first, a question. If silence is golden, how do we all manage to live in such a noisy world? During the day and often at night, we're surrounded by sounds. Unlike our eyes, which we can close when we wish, our ears are always open. The concert hall is one of the few places where we're still allowed, indeed encouraged, to be quiet, to still our voices, our thoughts, our devices, and for the hour or two that the performance lasts, to open our ears to music. I love that moment of deep silence just before a piece begins. I'm standing in front of a poised orchestra, keeping very still, waiting for that lovely bit of absolute silence to occur. That compressed spring of attention that will be released when the music starts. But even once the concert begins, the possibilities of silence are always present. Classical composers knew the power of silence and used it to great dramatic effect. It was one of Beethoven's great fortes, pun intended. And one of my favorite examples is the opening of his Coriolan Overture. Composed in 1807, the Coriolanus story is a complicated one of treachery and revenge set in ancient Rome. Beethoven captures in his music the strength and fury of our hero Coriolan, and I've always thrilled to its dramatic opening. One low, sustained C is followed by a short, powerful chord, then silence. A second sustained C is followed by a second chord as the musical tension rises. Then again, silence. And then a third time, our low C followed by the most intense chord yet, then two more chords, each enveloped in its own silence, as Beethoven resolves the musical tension and we start to move forward in a more natural way. Now let's listen to the opening all the way through, and let's pay attention not just to the notes, but to the silence between the notes. Fantastic music, isn't it? These musical silences are powerful because they're so unexpected and leap out at the listener in such dramatic fashion. These written out gaps play a crucial role in this tense and striking music. And now, time for a viola joke. How can you tell if a violist is playing out of tune? Their bow is moving. Another of my favorite musical silences is of a completely different nature. Samuel Barber's famous Adagio for strings, written in 1936, is actually the second movement of his first string quartet, expanded for full string orchestra. As if through molasses, the music ebbs and flows in Barber's evocative harmonic language. About 2/3 of the way, he builds to this enormous musical climax In their highest registers and at full volume, our string orchestra sustains a mighty chord and sustains until an abrupt cutoff and the abyss of total silence. We hold our collective breath, waiting to hear what will happen next, and exhale together as the orchestra returns to the very quiet music of the opening. For full effect, I recommend listening to the entire movement, but here is an excerpt that includes the climax, the silence, and the recovery of this haunting music. There are many other examples in the classical repertoire, so please visit our Simon Says Show page on our website, thesfco.org, for further exploration. Silence is indeed golden, and the next time you listen to music, enjoy hearing not just the notes, but the space between the notes as well. This is Ben Simon signing off for the Simon Says Show. Be well, stay engaged, and let's keep the live music playing.